Hello, beautiful people. Like, share, and subscribe. So I was just going to the paper, and TINUBU wants to set up the forest guard, and he also wants to set up a coastal guard. But for now, I think the forest guard is important because of the menace of insecurity happening in the country. And most of these bandits live in the forest, And here, I want to give my 2 cents on this whole issue. I've always mentioned that the forest guard is what we need, and plus the soldiers also aid it, because I'm not sure the soldiers understand the terrain of the forest. So basically, TINUBU should bring in competent experts. They don't need to be Nigerians to train these forest guards. You understand what I'm saying? Then secondly, you understand, training can be former Nigerian forest guard in the US or Navy SEALs, with addition of people that understand what forest and every forest security details must entail. They don't need to be plenty. They can be just 6, but they will train these people very hard. It will be very light elitist training. And secondly, they must pay them well. Minimum with the current scale should not be letting less than 100,000. And if they are killed in the forest, their family can earn up to as much as 10 million or going up. And they should not have ranks. You understand? They should have, just few ranks, very, very few. Not too much hierarchy, but they will be very professional. And the people that should lead them should be graduates. Graduates, because to me, I like forest. You understand? I like forest. They should put graduates to lead them, not uneducated people. By the way, their training should involve what do they call it? Human training. How to act when they see civilians, and how to proper training. What class? Not when a terrorist, for example, drop his weapon, you don't need to kill him. Those type of training. And I just want to say some things. The recruitment, that is the most important thing. You see, the recruitment must have, what do they call it? People of indigenous people. You don't go and bring Yoruba people to come and guide Igbo forest, or bring Igbo people to come and you use Yoruba people to guide Yoruba, just like Amotekun. If not, you can even absorb the members of Amotekun straight into the thing. You understand? Or maybe just leave Amotekun, but you would use indigenous Yoruba people to guide Yoruba forest. Use Igbo people to guide Igbo forest. Then for the recruitment, you can look for Hunters Association of Nigeria. If there's any this thing, they look for in all the local government. In fact, every local government must have, if possible, absorb hunters who understand the forest terrain. Just train them. The training doesn't need to be hard. Most of the training just needs to have the endurance. You understand what I'm saying? Endurance training. And then build proper camps. If possible, buy helicopters that can move these people, 50 helicopters that can carry 50 soldiers to point A, from point A to point B. Then another thing, they should also have armed drones, surveillance drone, and surveillance drone especially, and maybe armed drones too. There are surveillance drone that can fly 24 hours. They can sit 24 hours in the air, and there are surveillance drone that can fly from Bayelsa to Sokoto. I think that should be the longest distance in Nigeria by air. Because I've calculated these things before. So these things don't even cost much. You can start on a small scale, but the forest guard is important. Now, for these herders and people living in the forest, federal government can stipulate that they must have, anybody living in the forest must, even a farmer, if you're a farmer and your farm is in the forest, or you do anything in the forest, you must have a special ID card. Your video of your face, fingerprint, everything, just like Binance. I don't know, most of these people know the Binance app. They should register. They should go to the nearest local government near them. Whether you're a herder, whether you live in the forest, whether you have children, you must register. Whether you're a Fulani person living in the forest, all of you, your video must be there. So that when they see people in the forest, they must show their identity. You understand what I'm saying? These are just ways. And if they do and they see that this is security is not ending, they should ban people from living in the forest for the time being. It's just a temporary something. You understand? To see whether the thing will quench. You can do a pilot scheme. You start from the whole southern states. You ban people from living in the forest. Whether they are herders or anything, they must live within 500 or 100 meters to the nearest civilization. That is if the people even grab them land. If they don't grab the land, they have to go back to wherever they come from. Or wherever. Nobody should live in the forest now that the whole country is insecure. Because basically from the forest that these people come from. Then, just proper training. Their camouflage should be well covered, well protected, looking very sharp. so that the people are motivated. Then for the recruitment too, you can look for people who their families have died from kidnapping. They will be more motivated. You see how Dora was motivated fighting fake drug because her sister was killed. These people that are motivated, look for. In fact, the way you do it, if you want to do recruitment, you don't need to say you want to recruit for people for a job. No, because people want to come and lie. What do? You say, oh, you need all. If you're a hunter, federal government wants to see you. You understand? Wants to ask you, wants to see you. Look for through the kings, get all the hunters in the village. Then you can also look for, what do they call it? People that have been experiencing security through police reports. You contact them, phone them and say, oh, federal government wants to see you. Gather all of them, zone by zone, and ask them if they would like to get a job. You understand? And you explain the details of the job. Any of them that is interested, they will now join the force. You don't need to make this, and just make sure that you select people from each local government. So I'm basically saying hunters and family of people who have been affected by insecurity. I wish sometimes I've been governors. There's a lot of things I would have done that is different. I don't even know how I think of these things sometimes because this is a very wonderful idea. But it's good that TINUBU is pushing it. But the question now is when. That's how they say they will do. The question now is when. Not we will. 20 years have not done anything. Is when. When are they taking action? Enough of all this storytelling. Enough of this Ajala and the storytelling. It's action. People need action now because people are dying. So when you do, you can run pilot scheme. You can run the whole southern Nigeria. Then when you see it's working, you enter northern. You enter middle belt. Enter north. You understand? For the middle belt on too, it's very easy. People from all the local government, well trained. People must have in their training. They must remove that religious bias. You see, that thing is anybody doing religion will be sacked or something. If he's a Christian trying to do mago for Christians, sacked. If he's a Muslim sacked. They must teach them that training. And anybody that doesn't want to do it will be kicked out. So these are just the way I've mentioned the recruitment. I've mentioned the way they get their personnel and training. You understand? Even when they want to gather this training, they don't even need to make it public until they have trained everybody. So Igbo people should guard Igbo forest. Yoruba should guard Yoruba forest. Middle belt should guard middle forest. Those are people that know the terrain, especially the hunters. And yeah, you can even use some Fulani header because not all Fulani people are bad. You understand what I'm saying? People that understand the forest, like I mentioned, basically hunters, even people that are herdsmen, and yeah. So so these are just some of the ways you can reduce insecurity. Then the police and the military will be doing their function because I don't think the military understands Nigerian forest. But even our military can be well trained. It's just that they're not well trained, and the military is already compromised. Imagine having a penta Boko Haram in their midst. All those things, federal government need to remove all those reported Boko Haram and put them in prison. You don't need to torture them for them to even repent and come out. Just put them in one prison there. They don't need to be moving freely. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.